Bickley and Marotta Mornings. Arizona Sports. The local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
For a team that is one tick above mediocrity, the Diamondbacks have had a wild season so far. They've got a losing record when scoring 10 or more runs in a game, which has happened only once in Major League Baseball history. They even lost a game when they scored 10 runs in an inning. And on Sunday, in a game that could have been a launching pad for the rest of the season, when they could have staked a claim by winning 3 of 4 games against the mighty Dodgers, they decided to give Ketel Marte a day off. And that meant I spent a chunk of my afternoon hate watching our baseball team. I am so sick of this trend in sports, and in baseball, this is not an issue exclusive to the Diamondbacks. But in my mind, there are days in games that are more important than normal, and yesterday was one of them. And if Marte was good enough to pinch hit and play the 9th inning, what are we doing here? Fans are killing Torey Lovullo over this, even though this decision is probably coming from above his head. After all, the best player in baseball is Aaron Judge, who has played in all 40 games for the Yankees. And even if the medical staff is right, the effect on the fan base is undeniably bad. Good news is, Lovullo said we're almost at the point where Marte can play 6 or 7 games in a row without needing a day off. Oh boy, lucky us! All right, today's Bickley Blast brought to you by my great friends at Chapman BMW. Make luxury attainable. Find them online at chapmanbmw.com.
Look, this was a tough game. This is a tough game to stomach all the way around. You know, we never really got anything going offensively. The Dodgers seemed like they were playing at a very different pace than we were. I thought Zach did a really nice job of keeping us in the game. He had really effective stuff. They just kept chipping away at him. We pulled him off the mound. I felt like the matchups were right. It ended up not working out perfectly, but overall, Zach did everything he could to keep us in that ball game. There were some moments where I thought we had some momentum offensively, and it never got finalized. Some early count outs, some different things took place, and we finally scratched across the run with a real good approach by Hosey, but that was really the only noise that we made.
Yeah, it was tough to stomach for you. It was tough to stomach for Torey Lovullo. I think it was tough to stomach for anybody who on the Diamondback side of the ledger yesterday. And it was a frustrating weekend. It was filled with highs and it was filled with lows. I think the lows probably feel worse than the highs felt, quite honestly. Would you agree with that?
I don't know. I mean, at the first game, I thought, wow, the Dodgers have just brought out the best in the Diamondbacks, and that win was really, really crisp and clean on Thursday. I remember on Friday thinking really, really good about this. And then Friday night happened, and that was just another heartbreak. And, my thinking on that is when you lose multiple games in tragic, heartbreaking fashion, it not only can sink the morale of the fan base, it can really drag down the morale of a baseball team. Like, when are we, you know what I mean? It can just drag down the vibe when you're always on the wrong end of magical comebacks and all that kind of thing.
I guess it's just not our year.
That's
what they might say.
Yeah, exactly. And then Saturday happened, and I thought, oh, no, that Corbin Burns, that is studly. That is what an ace does. You look it up in the baseball dictionary, and what do aces do? They stop losing streaks. Mm-hmm. They stand in the breach when things are going really, really bad, and they change momentum. And I thought, if they win on Sunday, this could change the entire season and the trajectory of the entire season. And that's why I'm so angry about the lineup on the field. Now, I guess it's conceivable that Ketel Marte went to him and said, I need the day off. Yeah. Because he did that with 10 days to go in the regular season last year.
Sure. Jack Summers, who covers the D-backs for SI.com, wrote a piece, who manages Diamondbacks player load and return to play protocols, and illustrates that there's a lot of chefs in that kitchen. Mm-hmm. In fact, he points out that the media guide, the Diamondbacks media guide, shows the sports medicine and performance page 22 personnel responsible for this area.
Wow.
So that, in terms with mixing with the front office, mixing with the field manager and Torey Lovullo, there's a lot a moving parts there. But a lot of it comes from the players as well.
Ketel Marte had played 16 games all season prior to yesterday. Okay? And I get that he's coming back from injury, but when he came back from injury, he said, I'm ready, I'm good, let's get after it.
Mm-hmm. Are you healthy or you're not healthy?
And again, this is such a pivotal part of the lineup.
And I get your frustration, and I'm right there with it. This is also complicated by the first real sustained stretch. I think it's 16 straight days with a game. And the Diamondbacks seemingly to that point before these last two series, they were getting a day off in between like every series, it seemed like.
Then give him today off. Don't sit him on Sunday against the Dodgers when you have a chance to take 3 of 4. And
the optics matter too. I agree.
And burrow out from underneath that Friday debacle that we all witnessed. I woke up Saturday going, this might kill our baseball team. This a third ridiculous loss. They're 1-2 in games when they've scored 10 or more runs. The 2015 Atlanta Braves are the only team ever to have a losing record in a season when they scored 10 or more runs.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And the Diamondbacks are at 1-2 right now.
It's not just about the gut punch losses. It's the gut punch mixed with the anger from those losses.
Yeah.
They were obviously difficult games, but they were all seemingly in hand at one point as well. And Friday night was it was surreal.
Yeah, it was.
And for it to happen that weekend with the Dodgers in town, where there was 100 and what? They got over 40,000 fans, so over 160,000 fans through the turnstiles.
Yeah.
With that atmosphere, and they were talking about the atmosphere too. Zach Gallen really appreciated it.
A lot of fun for sure. I forget. I know I saw one of the nights was like a sellout of like 49,000, which is really cool. I mean, this is my 7th year now, so to kind of see the evolution of the games being a little bit more full, fans being a little bit more engaged, is a lot of fun. I think years past when we played the Dodgers, it's been kind of leaned a little more blue out there. I think this weekend it was a good split. I mean, I think it's something we're going to be able to control. I think with a lot of people living here, maybe being from LA and it being so close, it's they tend to have a good turnout. But I think our fans did a really good job of kind of staying in the game, being engaged, matching their energy, matching their kind of volume. So it's a lot of fun to watch, a lot of fun to be a part of.
Through the frustration, let me ask this question, Bick. Are we ignoring progress? Because I don't think what we saw this weekend and like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you could say, the Dodgers are just on a different level. I don't think it was 4 games of the Dodgers proving they're that much better than the Diamondbacks.
No.
Which makes, I guess that could add to the frustration too, because I don't think the gap is that large, despite the gap in payroll, despite the gap in star talent that they have. The Diamondbacks, I mean, they very easily could have, they should have won that series. Absolutely should have taken three or four in that series. So I guess it's one, you can look at it one way through an optimistic lens and say that, but it also then bleeds back over into the frustrating part. Why didn't they do it?
Well, I don't know if I agree with the fact that they should have won 3 of 4. Friday night's game, the Dodgers took from them because this bullpen has been a repeated debacle. So
up 3 in the ninth.
But again, it's not the first time they've done this.
I know. But it also wasn't. It wasn't up 3 in the ninth with scrubs out there either. It was 2 of your more successful, accomplished relievers that were culpable.
I'll say this. I can understand why you might say you could look at this team and say, okay, for all your anger, especially me, for all your feeling they're making progress, they've won 1 of their last 7 series. And this one could have been one. And again, I just did not at all agree with the lineup they put on that field yesterday.
And beyond, and you mentioned the bullpen, but also Eduardo Rodriguez not having a great season. Corbin Carroll had a terrible series versus the Dodgers, which is too bad because he was having such a great year. Mm-hmm. Just some other things. Zach Gallen, mediocre. You're hoping, could you follow up Corbin Burns and give you another ace 1-2 punch, and he was just mediocre.
Well, the subject of tipping pitches came up yesterday.
Yeah.
Post game, and Torey Lovullo was asked about Gallen. Was he tipping pitches?
No, I didn't think that. I thought Erod was, but that's our job as staff to pay attention to that, and we go back to the drawing board and pay attention to every little movement our pitchers make. They were on every pitch that Erod was throwing. I will say, Jack, between me and you, I thought at one point in time they were sitting and backlegging some breaking balls, and when Zach's got a lot of velo and he can spot it up the way he can, I was a little bit suspicious, but it never reached. I'm only repeating it the second time. I thought about it the first time, and now I'm repeating it to you. So that's between me and you. Let's not tell anybody.
Interesting, though. Thought Erod was. And that was part of the frustration, go back to Friday, was why he only got, 2 2/3 innings is what he lasted, but the damage had been done. Why not make a move a little earlier? But 3 just absolute and hair-pulling defeats this year.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know where this is going. I'm sure Eduardo Rodriguez is not in danger of losing his rotational spot right now, especially if there's that alibi that, okay, you got loose in your delivery, you started giving indicators. It's amazing. Major League Baseball, almost to an organization, they have somebody with just cat eyes, able to see the most imperceptible movements that might be tipping off pitches.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's insane.
And then when you find out, like in past instances where pitchers have been tipping pitches, and then you see the video, you're like, oh, yeah, there it is. you can tell.
Yeah.
But without that, I mean, it takes a special person.
I can't even notice box usually when there's box. Like Castillo had 3 balks.
Speaking of that, how about that weirdness yesterday? From Jose Castillo, I mean...
Chicks dig the balk.
You can go literal months, where you don't see a balk. And to see 3 in one game.
Right, and Tori's like, can we get somebody here? Do any of you speak Spanish? Because one of y'all have got to explain to him what he's doing wrong.
He said explain it to him in English, then explain it to him in Spanish, and then both of you explain it to him again so he knows what he's doing.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.